Hey, this is Phil Lilley, Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on Lake Taneycomo. Jackson and I are headed out to do one cast this morning. It's about 10 o'clock. I mentioned yesterday that we've been seeing these cream color little caterpillars. I don't know if they call them caterpillars or not. Falling out of the trees, and there's a lot of, I don't know what they call them, these little worms that make the spider webs in the trees. They're not really very bad this year at all. Some years, trees are just covered with them. But I thought that we would test the theory. So I've got a small jig. It's not cream, but it's close. It's kind of a yellowish color. I think Darren ties these up. It's a cute little jig under a float about 4 feet or so. We're going to fish right along the bluff. Let's see if we can't get any takers. Actually, this is a really good place to start right here. There's a tree that's hanging right over the water. There's a whole bunch of webs on it. Okay. All right, we'll see if it works. So if these worms are falling in the lake, I'm sure fish will eat them. But then they might just hit this jig regardless. Just because it looks good, I guess. I've got 6X tippet down to the jig. I am working it just a little bit, moving the float, giving the jig a little bit of life. When there's no chop on the water, you really need to move that jig just a little bit. It doesn't take much. Nothing on the first cast. What I need to do is tie up a jig that's cream color. So I'm pretty confident that it would work. You could put on a little bit heavier float that I have on here, and you could throw these small jigs under the float using your spin cast. Probably the most important thing is to use that 6X or 2-pound line. If you don't have, like if you have 4-pound on your reel, to go ahead and put that as tippet. Turn my camera just a little bit. You don't want to throw too far away from you, because a lot of times they're not going to take that float under. That float will just vibrate, just move just a little bit, especially if they're not being really aggressive. And you got to make sure your whatever you're using drops down below the leaves and doesn't hang up on a leaf like that one just did. You can sit there for 2 or 3 minutes and your jig is sitting on top of a leaf, and you're not going to catch a fish that way. These leaves are really going to start falling pretty soon. Okay, one more cast. Line's getting caught on everything. Well, I'll put one out here, and if I don't get a bite, then I'm going to change. Oh, I just had a fish come up and try to eat my float. I am going to change though, if I don't get bit. I've really noticed, I hadn't been out much in the mornings, but I've noticed even in the evenings, fish are just not midging like they normally do. Like this morning, there should be some fish feeding on the surface, but then I'm not seeing a whole lot of midges either. Okay, I'm changing. Okay, tied on a red zebra midge. It's a 14. I'm shortening it up, not fishing as deep. About 2.5 feet maybe. Okay. All right, we'll see if any fish are cruising around. Fairly close to the surface. I had that one come up and look. He looked at the float, so I knew I was going to do that. That's another issue we got in the fall. Almost have to pick an open spot in the leaves to throw into. On the zebra midge, I don't move it as much as I do a jig. I don't think there's anything wrong with moving it, but I just don't. All right, I'm gonna move out toward what I would call the sun line. And the next thing I'm gonna do is go deeper on my zebra midge. So I'm just not seeing very much activity on the surface at all. I'm not seeing hardly any. Okay, let's go deeper. I'm gonna go about 6 feet. It's my last change. If I were to change again, I'd move. And I'd probably go down. It's your last chance, fish. Okay. Jackson thinks we're leaving. He hears that reel. He's ready to go. But we're gonna throw a jig a couple times. 32nd ounce black jig. 2-pound line. You know what? That's that 50th ounce. I'll go ahead and fish it. I got them switched. I should have the 50th ounce on the 1 pound line. In fact, I might change here in a second. Throw that 32nd ounce. Okay, I just hit the bottom. So I'm just lifting it off the bottom and letting it sink. And my line quit sinking early. Okay. Throw my 32nd ounce. Let's throw it this way. Oh. There's one. Pretty small, Jackson. He's fat. Been eating. I know some of our guides, like Blake Harris, been taking their clients out and fishing against the bluff here and throwing a small jig like this, 32nd ounce, and having work it just like this and doing pretty good. Oh, I just missed one. For some reason, they're hitting that 32nd ounce better than my 50th ounce. Throw one more time. I'll let it go until the line goes slack. That means it's on the bottom. And I start working. Okay. I think if I stayed with it, I'd do pretty good with the black jig. A lot better than I did with the others. I hate to... I'm not sure if that was a guide or what. Might have been. Didn't recognize him. But you guys know that sitting up in a chair like that is illegal and very unsafe. You've got to be sitting down when underway. You can't be on elevated chairs or anything like that. I refer to that as driving down the road and putting somebody out on your hood of your car, hoping that he stays on if you hit a bump. So, thought I'd point it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.